Hello and welcome to the SciFirst MovieTalk episode. So in this episode I'll be discussing the 2022 action comedy sequel based on the ever popular Sega gaming series featuring the iconic speedy blue hedgehog Sonic, and of course Sonic the Hedgehog 2, as directed once again by Jeff Fowler, and continuing the adventures of Sonic on Earth as he strives to find his place in the world and find a way to use his power for good as the planet's newest, if but perhaps a little bit too eager, superhero. Living with Tom and Maddie Wachowski, as played by James Marsden and Tika Sumpter respectively, following his adventures with them in the last movie and after defeating the evil Dr. Ivo Robotnik, or indeed Eggman as he is also known, as played by Jim Carrey, sending him to a desolate mushroom planet, Sonic, as voiced by Ben Schwartz, is settling into life and making himself right at home. However, Eggman, he has other ideas and mounts a cunning escape, along with some help from Agent Stone, aka Eggman's Wilson, returning to Earth looking for an ultimate power, the Master Emerald, hidden away many years ago by those who swore an allegiance to protect it. And Eggman, he's not alone, this time teaming up with a bright red echidna warrior known as Knuckles, of course, as voiced by Idris Elba, who is also on the search of the Master Emerald to restore the power back to his own people. But Sonic finds that help is always there to those who need it. Can't you tell I've been watching Harry Potter? It must, and indeed is befriended by a cunning and inventive fox by the name of Tails, as voiced by Colleen O'Shaughnessy, who has transected and transversed the galaxy to warn Sonic of the impending doom that will ensue once the Master Emerald is found. Together, Sonic and Tails undertake a perilous mission to seek and claim the Master Emerald before it falls into Eggman's clutches, which will mark the beginning of the end for the rest of the world. So, this movie was probably in with my top 10 most anticipated movies for 2022. As a family, we absolutely adored the first movie. It was an absolutely hilarious fun romp, and ever since we heard a second was forthcoming, and indeed, ever since we witnessed Tails for that very brief moment in the included mid-credits scene, we were on tenterhooks waiting for the day we could be back in the cinema ready for yet another Sonic-filled extravaganza. With our expectations set pretty high, this film had a lot to live up to, and I would say for the first kind of 15-20 minutes, I wasn't overwhelmed. It failed to recapture the magic and comedy of the first, and much of the live action moments seemed more awkward and more forced, more fast than anything else. However, when Tails showed up and the movie kind of centered around Sonic and Tails' friendship, Tails' gadgets and how all of that kind of came about, the film more than revved up, and then threw Knuckles into the mix. Superb, and in the end I certainly was not disappointed. Now, whilst I don't think the comedy was as on point this time around, and some scenes even felt a little bit recycled, indeed, we still had time for another bar scene, and even this time round, a dance-off. Yes, a dance-off. But once we had this out of our system, the film concentrated more on the gaming aspects of the story, which completely had me in awe, you know? I think the human elements in the mix this time around, bar Carrey, were pretty redundant. Everybody did a decent job with what they had, but quite honestly, I could have watched this just fine if all we had was the Sonic Dream Team, you know? And yes, Eggman too. The human stories seemed a little hammy, and they're because we felt they were required, but quite frankly, they just weren't utilised to the same effect or emotional depth. So indeed, why bother? Sonic and Tails carried this movie perfectly well on their own, you know, obviously, with Knuckles and Eggman. The movie captured the friendship, the energy, and the overall story perfectly. Now, this might be an unpopular opinion, I'm not really sure, but as a video game adaptation, I have to say, ultimately, this is one of the best, most representative movies I have seen in a long while. It isn't a perfect movie by any stretch. I wouldn't even go as far as to say it's as good in terms of overall quality as the first. But it's adventurous, it raises the stakes, expands this universe considerably, and brings in some of the gaming series' best loved characters. I couldn't really ask for any more in this respect. And indeed, once it really gets into its stride, perhaps it really, doesn't really hold back too many secrets for fans of the series, I think it's going to give you everything that you would have expected, but with tremendous effect when it happens, absolutely satisfying, and with some brilliantly placed homages to the games themselves, with an ending fit for any boss level Eggman could have concocted. In fact, more so than the first movie, you really do get a sense of just how much the games have influenced this movie. It feels like somebody has certainly done their homework, and perhaps even played a few hours of these classic titles. Somebody's dusted off the Genesis for this, as the film is just simply infused with references, nods, and elements from the games, such as the locations akin to some of the classic levels, boss fights, to the way that the characters move, special abilities, and right down to even some of the traps that are used, the enemies, and indeed Eggman's robotic creations. It was an absolute visual treat in this respect, and simply awesome level of detail throughout involved in order to make this one work in the way that it did. This felt like it had been ripped straight from some of the cutscenes of a Sonic game, and I was getting well into all of the Team Sonic moments. As somebody who has enjoyed many, as if you can't tell, many hours playing the various Sonic titles, watching this film was like a dream come true. Literally bringing these characters to life on the big screen was something to be marvelled. And again, I think they got the mix and the chemistry just right for what this film was actually going for. Even Carrey as Eggman, Robotnik, which one? Who I found kind of grated on me a little in the last movie, I thought worked very well for me here. And I thought using Carrey's eccentric talents to great effect. Some elements were still a little still, but I must admit I certainly warmed to his performance as the film progressed, and he more than made Eggman his own this time around. He really kind of got into that stride, really kind of getting and bringing us some really fantastic Eggman moments. Again, leading to an exceptionally mad end boss finale, which kind of raised the stakes onto the next level, so to speak. So, overall, while I feel that the first movie was more balanced, I think, overall from a kind of an acting, comedic perspective, I did really get into the swing of this movie once it got into its stride. And I think it fares up well, certainly in terms of action, adventure and scope, and most certainly with its love for the games and the characters on which it is based. It is a brilliantly fun movie that has great energy, fantastic fun with its premise, bringing these larger-than-life characters to life once again, and bringing in some amazingly satisfying Team Sonic action, which, whilst not wholly unsurprising, given the trailers and everything that we'd seen, was still more than a welcome addition. I don't think perhaps that the human characters were all that balanced this time around, or even utilised in quite the same way, acting more as filler than anything else, really. But apart from what I thought was a kind of a bit of a shaky start, the movie still has a warm, welcoming, nostalgic kind of spot overall, and I think will resonate exceptionally well for fans of the games, whilst also making a wonderfully entertaining and action-packed spectacle for the whole family to enjoy regardless. So, that brings me to the end of this episode. Many thanks for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like. Please do hit that subscribe button for more movie reviews, trailer reactions, and other movie-related content. Absolutely loved having you here at SciFirst MovieTalk, and definitely love to have you back. Most of all, just thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.